Hey guys, it's Flakes, and this is a video covering 3 tips that I believe are the most important to help you go flawless solo during Season of the Lost. Before we get into the video, I do want to remind everybody that I do stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/fFlakes. So head over there if you want to hang out. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. And with that said, let's get right into it. I'm going to start off by saying that Trials is unlike any other game mode. Since it is a 3v3 elimination style playlist, it's not going to play like Control, where you are rewarded for putting constant pressure on an enemy team by whittling down their numbers and spawn camping them. It's not going to be like Survival, where you apply pressure while regrouping with your teammates and picking the enemy team off one by one. 80% of the time in Trials, the team that gets the first pick will win the round. This brings me to tip number 1, which is play your life. You have to learn to prioritize living over getting a kill. The reason some top tier players end up with 2.0 or sometimes even 3.0 plus KDs is because they have mastered the ability to survive while only taking engagements when they have an advantage. Now you may be thinking to yourself, whenever I watch streamer A or cracked player B, it seems like they're just aping in, hitting every shot, and getting all the kills. But what I want you to notice next time you're watching them is that they always have a way out if they get into a bad position. You always have to have an escape plan if you are choosing to engage. Most of the time this boils down to peek shooting from cover or pixel peeking or having a way to strafe jump out. Whatever the case is, you have to have an escape plan if you take damage. This is also the reason that recovery is the primary stat that is most valued in PvP. If you take damage from an opponent, you need to get in the habit of fully healing while safely behind cover before re-engaging. Another thing that people don't realize is that by just living, you are putting pressure on the enemy team. Whether it's charging your super or just being a radar tick on their screen, these things will cause the enemy team to make different decisions. Next time you're playing Trials, before you take an engagement or peek a corner, ask yourself, do I have an advantage and do I have a way out? If the answer to either is no, try to reposition or wait until you do. This brings me to my next tip. Know your positioning. Knowing where the enemy team is very important. Get used to reading your radar, but also knowing where your teammates are in relation to you is just as important. Even really great players will make the mistake of aping in by themselves, maybe getting 1 pick, even 2 picks, and then dying in the middle of the enemy team, making their res impossible to secure and allowing the enemy team to set up a defense strategy to revive their downed ally and flip the round in their favor. Get used to reading your radar. Hop into a regular control match until you are comfortable knowing exact enemy positions just based on radar ticks. You can use audio cues to determine whether an enemy is jumping into the air, or you can hear footsteps if they are sprinting in your direction. I talk about having an advantage before you engage, and often knowing where every player is on the map is key to knowing whether or not you have that advantage before you engage. My third and final tip is going to be know your kit. This doesn't mean use meta weapons. You can use whatever weapons you want. I will say that team shotting in Trials is extremely powerful, so having a primary weapon that is capable of laying down damage and assisting your teammates will be best. This comes to knowing the range of your weapons and knowing the map. I would stay away from things like sidearms and SMGs on a map like Widow's Court, but on shorter range maps like Cauldron or Anomaly, those weapons would be viable for both dueling and team shotting. And remember, always be team shotting. If you can find a situation where you can be team shotting, do it. It is easily one of the biggest advantages in Destiny 2 in any playlist you're in. Survival, Control, Trials, doesn't matter. Team shotting is extremely strong in this game. As far as classes go, you can use whatever you want. If you're a shutdown super, make sure you're saving that super. Unless you have a giant lead in the game, make sure you're saving it to actually shut something down. The one class I will say is probably a little bit overplayed by people who shouldn't be playing the class would be Top Tree Night Stalker. I would stay away from this class unless you're an absolute demon with it, because it is 100% about bamboozling the enemy team and getting flanks. It really does have a high skill gap to the class, and if you're that caliber of a player who can absolutely slay with that class, I would say you probably don't need these tips. You either know about them already or have mastered most. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my vid. Hopefully one, if not all of these tips have helped you on your journey to the golden chest. And as always, have a wonderful day.